Welcome to Badger Beer Hour, the June 21st edition. I'm here with Chris Drosner, who's not going to mess up his intro.
Hello, I'm the Beer Baron.
And I'm here with Landon Cherney, my friend from up north, Wisconsin.
Up north. Yeah, there. You betcha. How's it going, guys?
Yeah.
We got a lot of pandemics opening up, and that means a lot of news today.
Did you just cut yourself off on that one?
No, I kind of did that on purpose.
Okay. TikTok thing?
It was awkward.
TikTok. Yeah, it's so hot right now.
Right.
So yeah, it was a pretty tough call on what to lead the news segment with this month. Chris, of course, has a lot to talk about all the time. I mean, he's a journalist, right, Chris?
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, a lot going on here this month. Lot going on this month. But we're gonna open with the Great Taste is on, you guys.
Hey.
The Madison Homebrewers and Tasters Guild, which has put on the Great Taste of the Midwest every year since the mid '80s, until like last year, of course, announced just a few days after our last stream that the region's best beer festival is back on this year. Of course, there's going to be some changes. The biggest one is that organizers are limiting the entire crowd that will be at Olin Park to just 5,000 people. With just 5,000 people, right? But that's a pretty big change, because in normal years they sell about 6,400 tickets, and then there are thousands more of volunteers from MHTG, brewer staff, and kind of other guests that end up there. I'm usually one of those as a media ticket person. So, you know, like in previous years, there have been almost 200 different breweries. That number is going to be a lot. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say a lot. It's going to be fewer this year. Great Taste Chairman Jason Walters declined to tell me exactly what that target number is, but did say this: still represent all of the Midwest and provide the world-class experience our patrons have come to expect over our long history. So I don't know. That's a pretty, that's a big deal. Part of the thing with the Great Taste is that it's so many breweries, and it's kind of anybody who's who. It's I mean, in recent years it's been a who's who of the Midwestern brewers. Man, I would love to be in the room where they're kind of extending invites or not, and deciding how that's all shaking down. I'm sure our friend Fred Swanson has his hands full. So, and then one other change that's, I guess, is kind of moot by this point, but is that tickets are only being sold through their long-standing mail order lottery system. And sorry, everybody, if you're listening and didn't hear about that, the date that you need to have the postmarks to get a ticket has already passed. So, sorry about that. But hopefully,
I got mine in.
You got yours in. Well, yeah, I kind of figured you'd probably would.
I'm not a media guy though, so I can't. I got them.
No. All right. Well, if you get a ticket, we're gonna have to hook up, and we'll be part of the part of the BBH crew at the Great Taste. I assume. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the media ticket situation is, but I think I'll probably get one. Anyway, so I mean, with ticket thing, usually there's the kind of tradition of camping out overnight and, to wait for tickets outside, like, your Madison area breweries and bars and stuff. Hopefully we'll be back to that next year. We were kind of reading the tea leaves on this last month, guys. Like, what did you think about this announcement? Obviously, Greg, you decided, yes, you're going to go.
You're
muted,
man.
buddy. I mean, come on. What is this Zoom meeting?
So I decided that I was going to buy tickets. I didn't officially decide to go, but I mean, I guess, I believe that the tickets will, I put in for 2 tickets. I mean, they're going to be valuable even if I want to go, but I'm going. So yeah. What's up, Landon? If I get tickets, I'm going.
I didn't. I've never been. I didn't know anything about it. So I mean, I knew. Obviously, I knew that it was going to probably happen. That I knew. I wasn't on the mailing list or anything. So, what does it take to be media, Chris? You gotta know that.
I guess.
I mean, I am.
No,
I don't.
If you want to put in for like a pass, I can see. It's all vetted, and it sounds like it's going to be more rigorous this year than most years. But there's there's an application, and
sure, I can get rigorous. You bet.
Oh yeah. All right.
And I might have an extra ticket for you too, Landon.
Well, yeah, hey, I mean, I'll come down.
I think I don't know how many tickets there are going to be. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how much that overall, how, like all the extra people are, as in proportion to the 6,400 that they usually. I actually stumbled upon that number today while doing research here, and I didn't know. I thought it was around 5,000 usually, and I knew that they always kind of try to push it to keep as many as many people as possible without getting too crowded and everything. But there are a lot of the volunteers are a big part of it. And there's, every brewery might have anywhere from 1 or 2 to 5, 6, 7, 10 people that are part of the crowd. So, and I would assume that those are the breweries that are probably going to still be here. They might have their entourages limited a little bit, but, this is one of the very few beer festivals where brewers actually want to go to this and be part of the scene, because most of them are pretty, they're a grind, pouring drunk people beer. But this is different because there's so many other industry people, and MHTG takes care of the brewers really well. So, and Madison's freaking great on the second Saturday in August usually. Sometimes it's hot, but whatever.
It's a great venue. It's one of the best venues ever for a beer festival.
Yeah, Bowling Park,
especially outdoors. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out.
Yep.
Hopefully for the best for all of us. Yeah. One brewery I think we all expect to be at the Taste this year is Central Waters. And they're in the news as well, which is never a bad thing.
Yep. I think you can write that one in ink. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows how they're doing it? But yeah. Okay. So selfishly, this is a pretty exciting little news item for me. Central Waters, which is unquestionably in the running as one of the best breweries in the state, is opening a tap room in Milwaukee, probably early in fall is what the timeline is. So they've signed an agreement with Pabst to take over the historic former church in the brewery complex just northwest of downtown. Almost all of that area now has been redeveloped into other stuff, but there's a hotel in there and offices and medical clinics and stuff like that. But in 2017, Pabst reopened a presence there in this 1872 church and made it into a small brewery and tap room. And just before the pandemic, it was I think it was January. They had a little big event there for launching this rebrand of that space into the Captain Pabst Pilot House, to align with this new contract brewed craft brand that they launched around that time. And obviously the timing there was not very good, and it closed last fall. They had kind of leaned into a focus on live music, and it seemed like it wasn't doing great, there. And I don't know if it was, the beer was okay. They were brewing their own stuff. It wasn't like they had PBR and, hard, whatever, all the stuff that they're doing now, but they were doing, a small, it's basically like a little autonomous brewery, with a little brewmaster and everything. Didn't work out, obviously. And Central Waters co-founder Anello Molica, who we will definitely have on in a future episode, told me that Pabst started reaching out to other breweries to see if they wanted to take over the space and the lease. Anello and Central Waters co-founder Paul Graham took a look back in April, and they were like, "This is perfect." after some negotiations, they signed a deal just on June 4th, like a couple Fridays ago or less. Yeah, two Fridays ago. And that's the deal. So what they're getting out of this is a really nice, a very nice and pretty new 10-barrel brewing system that was new from, that Pabst put in there 4 years ago. And they're going to use that to make exclusive beers for the Taproom and also ship them back to the home base in Amherst. So Central Waters is planning to also install a small canning line there so they can sell the beers that are made there in the Taproom. They're not going to be sending out, it's not like they're going to be selling them to distro or anything. It'll just be, 4 packs to go or 6 packs or whatever. And they're not going to be making any of the like flagships like Rift or Mud Puppy in Milwaukee. Those will be still made in Amherst and kegs sent to the Taproom. Nor are they going to they're not going to do any barrel aging there either. It's just too small. There is a kitchen, and they're going to that place, the building was a old German restaurant for a super long time. Very famous, forgetting the name, but doesn't really matter here. But they're planning to revive that kitchen and bring in a restaurant partner to operate it rather than doing it themselves, because they make beer, they don't make restaurants. So a lot going on here. This building is a national landmark, so there's a lot of like hoops that they need to jump through to get to convert the space into one that kind of makes sense for their own brand. It's very white and kind of stark, and there's a stage, and there's a lot there's a lot of potential there, but it doesn't look at all like a Central Water space. And Ellis said they're working on, the motif, the vibe of the Amherst Taproom is like kind of rustic wood and metal. It's like kind of modern rustic, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very nice, but it's very different from what it is now. So, and to make aesthetic changes like that, they're going to have to get some regulatory approvals and stuff. But it's a pretty exciting move for folks here in Milwaukee, where I am, and really across all of southern Wisconsin. Stevens Point area is beautiful, and it's a pretty nice drive from here to there. But it's also pretty clear that Central Waters wants to use this Taproom as kind of a satellite space for some of those big events and releases that they're very well known for up in Amherst, like the anniversary party, Black Gold releases. They have a whole bunch of them that they do. And I know this has already been kind of a long news item and a long news segment, but I do want to close on a little warm, fuzzy feel. Anello is a Milwaukee native, grew up on the north side. So this is kind of extra special for him, to be homecoming. I mean, he's still going to be in like, in Central, up in Amherst Point, but this is kind of a homecoming. And, his dad was even a Pabst drinker back in the day when it was made, just across the street, in one of like this is like ground zero. Maybe like Brewers Hill and stuff, but this is part of the most hallowed brewing ground in the entire country. And Central Waters, they recognize that, and they're very excited to, kind of be a part of it and move it forward. I should note, there's a lot of pretty nice, this is, it's not really a brewing I don't know. It never really got off the ground, I think, as a destination. It's a little out of the way. It's kind of, sandwiched between the interstate and this kind of little spur highway. And then there's the arena district is right down there. So it's a little, you have to go there. There's not a lot of parking, but I think now they have, the big Milwaukee Brewing facility is just a couple blocks down the street. Now Central Waters is a much bigger name. Pabst is obviously one of the biggest names there is in beer, but for whatever reason, just never really kind of gained traction. I think Central Waters is going to be a big draw to that area. So, and there's other spaces, there's the Best Place at Pabst, which is a kind of an event space and stuff. So I think this is probably going to be a critical mass to kind of take that over the edge. I believe that the Blue Ribbon Pub down there closed, which is a big restaurant bar place, and man, there's a lot of potential there too. So I don't know if it could be another brewery. That would be so cool. And because I feel like the two is nice, but having like three in a little cluster really makes it a thing. So I don't know. We'll see. Very cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I also read that if you've been there, there's that big Pabst sign that's up above. Anello's keeping that. He's putting it in his basement, I guess.
Yeah, he said
Really?
he believes that's part of the. He wasn't quite sure when I talked to him, but he thinks that's part of the like they get out of this lease.
I hope he gets it because it's a cool.
Yeah,
sign.
it's like it's almost like a chandelier. It's like a lit sign that hangs from the ceiling, and it's like it's very very big. When he said that, I was like, is this going to be in your basement or something? He's like, yeah, maybe. You must have a big basement.
It's bigger than mine. Yeah.
Spoils of the beer wars.
Well, so the good feels just keep on coming, Chris. We've got more good feels in the news.
Yeah.
Just
one good story after another here. All right. We told you back in December about the Hope Project. It's a collaboration beer. Hope is short for Here's One for the Pandemic Ending. Here's One Pandemic Ending. It's actually the Hoft P project, but that didn't really roll off the tongue, so they went with Hope, which is much better.
Yeah.
So this is an imperial stout made at the Explorium's location in Milwaukee. That they have two. There's one at Southridge in Greendale, and then they just opened one last year in the 3rd Ward. So this imperial stout was aged in a bunch of different barrels that were donated by distilleries that were like partners in this collaboration. There's some pictures of the brew day. That's back in January, hence all the masks. But the idea was to create a beer that would, you could toast the end of this really rough stretch for breweries and service industry people and restaurants and the whole deal. Look at that beautiful graphic. Very nice. And so they ended up with 3 different variants aged in, they put out a real wide call of like, when Mike was talking to me about this, you saying like, we'll take like, aquavit barrels or, like whatever kind of weird spirit you got. We want to try a whole bunch of different things. I'm not sure what they ended up getting, but what they ended up releasing is 3 variants, and they're aged in bourbon barrels, rye barrels, and brandy barrels. And all the participating breweries are going to have access to these kegs, and they'll be tapping their whatever beers they ordered at 1 p.m. on this Saturday, the 19th.
Hey, I'll be there.
And raising a toast to the end of the pandemic with all their customers and everything at 2 p.m. So you can go to the events page of the Explorium's Facebook page and find out all about. You can find out all 12. I think it's 12 Milwaukee area breweries that participated, and have one for the pandemic ending. Fingers crossed, the pandemic's over.
It's waning.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I like waning.
Yeah. I'll be in Milwaukee this Saturday, so maybe I'll go and try one.
Well, you kind of buried the lead there, Landon. We're gonna get a beer.
Yeah. I'll be at Sprecker's on Saturday. We'll talk about it later. It'll be good.
We will.
Y'all see how all this works.
Yeah. So we're going to actually have a good story from my neck of the woods, which doesn't happen very often. Yeah, right? So we're going to close we're going to close this month's news with a big picture story about diversity in beer.
So I think this is, well, I don't know. If you follow the beer industry, it's pretty well known that brewing has not been a particularly inclusive industry. With the Brewers Association did a survey back in 2018, and they found of the respondents, they found 88% of brewery owners were white, and just 1% were black. And the numbers among employees were not really that much more diverse. It was pretty grim numbers all across the board there. Obviously, one key way to diversify your labor pool is to provide incentives for training to people of color, and that's exactly what Molson Coors is doing with a new initiative that is creating a scholarship for people of color and LGBT people who want to study brewing or fermentation science at UW-Madison. So Molson Coors is endowing a scholarship fund with $50,000 to create the Jake Leinenkugel Diversity in Brewing Award. which also will include a paid internship at the Liney's Brewery in Chippewa Falls for each student. So, and this is not just a Wisconsin thing. Molson Coors is doing this with doing the same thing at some of its other with some of its other craft brands that have universities nearby with brewing programs. So like AC Golden is hooking up with Colorado State, Terrapin is Middle Tennessee State, Hop Valley with Oregon State, and Revolver with Texas A&M. So that is a total of $250,000 for funding these scholarships. And obviously, the way endowments work is it's not like it's $250,000 that go right to students. It's, you know, it creates this pool of funds that, and then the interest, you know, they award funds with the interest off that. Some of the other universities involved have said that they're going to be fundraising to build those endowments. That's pretty common with you know, university fundraising. But because this just broke yesterday, I haven't really been able to find out if UW is doing that. I kind of suspect they are, but we'll have more on that soon. Oh, and I'm gonna squeeze in one more news item before we get to Mark. And that is Milwaukee's Broken Bat Brewing, which opened in 2018, baseball theme, 2017, 2018. The perils of going off your memory. With they've got baseball themed beers like Straight Ched is the apricot pale ale, I think, and the King is their imperial stout with Babe Ruth, or not Babe Ruth, Jesus, Hank Aaron, what the hell? Whew, sorry Hank. Anyway, Broken Bat just expanded their distribution to Madison, so if you're into that, go check them out and in that area. And that is the news for June.
All right, are we on? I don't know if we're on.
Yes,
okay.
You're supposed to introduce Mark here.
My little headset just battery ran out. So
you introduce Mark here, sir.
Like Mark said, oh, this is all very professional. Yes. All right. So we're on to the interview segment, and I would like to welcome Marc Buttera of O'so Brewing in Plover, Wisconsin. Thanks for coming on, Mark. And I got to say, this was very last minute, uncharacteristically last minute. We had another guest whose appearance was pegged to some important news that has not broken yet. So we had to call Plan B, and I said, I know a guy who's opening a new brewery. And Mark said, I'm coming on just this morning, so thank you for joining us at this last minute. Marc Buttera.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Chris.
All right, so you're like kind of busy these days, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. We a couple of weeks ago we opened the Taproom in our new facility. We're not brewing yet, but we're getting real close. Next week, I think will be our first batch of beer. And man, it's been a year-long project. So essentially, and we did it quietly, which I'm excited about because you only get a couple of minutes of like craziness and fame, when something big happens, and then people move on to something new, So, but we were approached by a developer that was looking to buy an old Shopko building. It was essentially right across the street from our brewery, and he said, and this was like December of 2019. He comes to us and says, "Hey, if I do this thing, would you be part of it?" And so I said, "Well, yeah, we've been trying to get out of our space for a long time. We've been wanting to do a lot of different things. Nothing's really panned out. I'd definitely be into this." And so we seal the deal. COVID happens, and we're wondering, man, are we even going to make it here? Like, this is just the craziest time. So I'll tell you what, it's been a testament to the people that work for us, and like brewers became concrete cutters and like demolition guys, and it's just been unbelievable. So, I mean, we essentially did all the demo and all the build out, moving all the tanks over, everything ourselves. And we had 2 weeks to get out of our old space, everything out of our old space, and get it all cleaned up. And we had been nestled in there for almost 10 years. It was a little beat up. So
a few old grain sacks in the corners and stuff.
Oh my God, you just wouldn't believe it. Like, it's like you just don't realize how bad it is till you move everything out of there, you know. But the whole idea has been, you know, just to really, you know, we've been trying to get out of our old space because, you know, we just really didn't have a space for big events. That's always been a big thing. We always, you know, you mentioned Central Waters earlier. They always have a big party every year. We get a huge overflow, and then it's like, it's just really hard to like handle all the people. So this is 32,000 square feet, a big event space. The brewery's on display. It's not behind glass. It's right out in the open for you to see. All you got is a little fence, you know, separating you, and a big tap room. It's got an upper mezzanine where you can look down over people. You can see our barrel aging cellar, all our sours. We got about 300 casks that you can look on the over the mezzanine and look down over those. You know, and then we're going to build more onto more spirit barrel aged stuff on top of that. So it's just really, I'm tired, but it's kind of a pinch me moment, you know, because I've been trying to do this thing for so long.
Yeah,
it's finally happening. So
yeah, and you said 2019, but you guys had, like, as you said, you had been looking to get out. Like, there was another deal to potentially build new. As I recall, is that, I mean, and that was 5 years ago.
No, yeah, it was 2016. So, you know, that was a really cool thing. And Stevens Point was awesome. They tried to, you know, pull us away from Plover, and they get, you know, there's a lot of incentives for us in it. Big wastewater grant. You know, we wanted to do something really cool with, you know, putting all the waste on the land and all that. And at the end of the day, the project just swelled up at such a, you know, an astronomical cost that, you know, we backed out of it at some point and said, and I'm really glad, because I don't think we would have weathered the storm, you know, through COVID and stuff. You know, I don't think we would have survived, and which would have been awful, because I really like what I do, you know, so it's worked out. And then, you know, the weird thing is everything happens for a reason. So that piece of land is actually, the water tables really come up. And so, like, we're kind of calling it the swampland now. And, like, I'm really glad that we didn't invest $4 million into something that, you know, is swampland now. So
right. Did you mentioned one pretty cool thing? Like, this is an old shop. Like, how Wisconsin is that this is an old Shopko, and but I mean, I was gonna say, like, those are big stores, and there's and you said you've got 32,000 square feet. That is a lot. I mean, my kind of back of napkin calculation on this is like roughly a barrel of capacity per year per square foot. So, like, if you dedicated all that to brewing, that'd be 30,000 some square you know, barrels of capacity. I'm sure that's, you know, with it gets weird with event spaces and taproom space and all that other stuff, but, and barrel aging. But how are you using all? I mean, this is a great, these photos from throughout the process. You can really see, like, how, like, what's happening. And the O'so, the Shopko has OSO in it, so you actually reclaim those letters.
Yeah. Well, there's a mural now, right, when you walk into this atrium space. So the whole thing is a development. It's not just us. There's like 11 other businesses in there. The developer wanted to have these, you know, these lease spaces in there that, you know, had synergistic, you know, businesses with ours, and we're definitely a rock tenant there. So we've got a mural right away when you walk into the atrium, and it uses the OSO from the Shopko, and it's got so when you pull up to Plover, you see the water tower. Like, most people are like, oh, that's the Plover water tower. I'm getting close. You can see it a few miles away. And so this mural utilizes the water tower, and the O'so is on the water tower, and it's backlit, and it's cool. And the water tower's got a tap coming off of it, and it's got a hand that's pulling the tap, and then two other glasses are being filled, and it's really cool. It right away, it just grabs you when you walk into the space, and then you look around, and then there's mezzanines, you know, in this shared space. There's like this big open atrium and then shared mezzanine space where people can just grab a beer or a coffee. There's a coffee shop going in there, Mission Coffee, and, you know, hook onto the Wi-Fi and just enjoy, grab a laptop, you know, and just people watch. It's pretty cool. It's like big city stuff in Plover, which, like I said, it's one of the most exciting things to happen to Plover, for sure.
And, you know, you mentioned kind of synergistic, complementary businesses. Like, you mentioned a coffee shop. What else is in there that's gonna, you know, I mean, I would imagine that, like, coffee and beer, little overlap, and certainly drawing from the same customer base, right?
Sure. We people that they want a chill vibe, they want to relax. We have a collaboration that we're doing with Mission Coffee on like a pastry beer with with coffee and coconut and different stuff. I won't say too much about it. It's going to be pretty cool. But we have Anytime Fitness in there. There's a wellness studio. There's an axe throwing thing that's coming in. It's just a lot of cool. There's some hair salons and different stuff too. But the Anytime Fitness, that got me excited. Like when I met the owner, he said, the only reason I really even got into fitness is because I like to drink beer and I like to eat what I like to eat. So he said, and that's kind of the vibe for my group is like, enjoy life, but just exercise the hell out of it, and then enjoy yourself. So I was just looking today, and I'm like, I want to put this big thing above our door. Like right when you walk out of Anytime Fitness, you can see it. It's like, you deserve it. You deserve it. Come get it.
Targeted marketing. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned barrels and casks and stuff, and I know you are drinking a product of one of those barrels.
Yep. Having a Narcissist. This is a bourbon barrel version of it. Yep.
As you know, and I think probably some of our audience here knows that I was a huge fan of those beers. And is part of the kind of calculus here, like, more space for barrel aging? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot playing into it, but do you expect to add more racks and up that? Or
for sure. Like, so it's kind of weird. The approach that we're taking is we're going big and staying small is what we always say. So probably, the distribution game is a really tough game. Like you're behind a lot of people. Like any brewery will tell you that you're behind a lot of people. So like, I get tired of the fight. I really do. And at the end of the day, we'll probably do less distribution. As the years go on, we'll do less distribution. And really, I just kind of want to really get comfortable and, having this space to be able to do the cool stuff, do the releases, offer a product that maybe it's not outside the doors, and that's really, we're putting a kitchen in. That'll be late summer, early fall. So we're really excited about that. And it's kind of been a missing piece for us. Like, I just really want to grab hold of our own destiny, and distribution will always be a piece of what we do for sure. But, I don't see getting real big, but what I do see is getting more into that spirit barrel aged. I mean, we see the success of Central Waters down the road. Those guys make world-class beers, and so it's a tall order for us to even like do anything, because like people are always going to compare it to that. But we encourage it. We like it. It really sharpens our pencil for us. We really have to be good if we're even going to do anything that's even comparable at all. So and just do some fun stuff. Like, I know once a year I've got a captive audience for sure. And then as we build on it, really Central Wisconsin becomes it's already an awesome destination space, but it just strengthens that whole deal. So
yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Like there's something to be said. Like we were just talking about this with Pabst and Central Waters in Milwaukee. Milwaukee Brewing's right there. Like there's something to be said for a cluster that draws people in, and that can be from, maybe across town in the case of Milwaukee, or it can be state or even regional. In the case of you guys in Central Waters, and and there's some other breweries around there that are worth checking out. So but in the weeks and months between those events, I don't know, like is it competition? It's got to be in some way. I mean, you kind of mentioned it being like, well, we have to meet that challenge, and I've got one here. It's really it is there.
Thank you.
I think.
Thank you.
At least this batch was.
I love the competition because it's only going to make you better. If you look around the nation, it'd be I'd be remiss if I said that that it's that I wouldn't want to have that, because, if a person, you got to be comfortable enough in your own skin to say, hey, I definitely could sharpen my pencil here. I could be better at this, like that's a, if you approach it with that angle and say, hey, you know what, I'm not the best at this, but check it out. We're really learning a lot and doing a lot of cool stuff. I think Central Waters didn't always know how to barrel age beer. They learned along the way, and so
they recall a few Peruvian morning, I recall. So things happen. Of course, everybody's.
But we learn from that too, and so and I'm great friends with Anello. I mean, it's every time I see him out there, it's hugs and like it's awesome. But at the end of the day, they want to sell more. They want to make a better beer than us. I want to do the same.
Yeah.
But he kicks our ass at distribution. That's for sure.
Well, he's moving cases in New York City. So. Oh
yeah. The guys, there's something to look at, man.
We were talking in the news segment about Great Taste, and I'm curious. You guys have been there for many years, and have you heard anything from them yet as far as whether you're going to be?
Yeah, we did get an invite, but I don't know details beyond that. I'm so immersed in the getting the brewery up and going that Dylan, my son, who's our sales manager, he said, yeah, we got an invite, and I said, so I don't know about numbers of people. I don't know how they'll do it. We've had a corner booth the last several years. Don't know if that'll happen. I mean, I don't care really. I just want to hang out with some people and drink some beer. Yeah. I mean, frankly, we always really try to really break out the stops and do some really crazy stuff. But
Rondo,
it's been almost, yeah. We could definitely do that. Like that's a token thing we could do, and it's easy. But it's been 2 months. It'll be 2 months that we haven't brewed. Like we brewed ahead so far, to make sure we had enough beer for distro and that. And I had 19 skids of beer go out the door today, and I'm like, okay, we're down to nubs. Like we're down to just nubs. Like the cooler's empty.
Yeah.
And I'm really nervous, and so I got to fill the pipeline with regular beers first. I have to, because grocery stores rely on it, big chains, all that stuff. And then I can really start getting back into these 16s and doing some really fun stuff. We had 40 beers on the docket for this year to do some crazy 16s. They don't get a lot of distro either. Like a lot of times you got to come up by us to get them, but we're always got something crazy on the docket. So I don't know how much of that will. We frantically grabbed barrels that have been sitting around and said, okay, yeah, these are going to be for Great Taste. Don't tap these. But we're definitely, I'll be there. I think we're going to do a little something at the Madhouse the night before. I'll be there to chat with people and stuff. I'm not sure I'll go to Great Taste. I would forego that versus one of my other employees that hasn't gotten a chance to go. So, because it's a pretty awesome, and people are going to just be, it's going to be crazy. Just people are so pent up,
There's a lot of love at the Great Taste always.
Oh man, people will be crying. I'm sure.
Not having one, yeah, I think it's.
Yeah.
Did one thing? You mentioned the Madhouse, and I should have connected that this would be a good question for you, because you opened that. Is it 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
And that and this
19,
is
yeah.
Usually the same model of
two years ago, 19.
2 years ago. Okay,
yeah,
so this is the same model of a kind of a tap room in a place that's very, very. I mean, not very, but it's on the other side of the state almost from your home base. What's the benefit of that, and what's kind of the rationale behind extending that brand into kind of a new, or not a new market, because obviously O'so has been sold in Madison for a long time. But what do you get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good brand builder for us. It's on East Washington, which it's 6 lanes of traffic. People see the name. We're beneath 200 apartments. We've got this kind of fan following. We really loved the east side of Madison. It's always been near and dear to me. So when I was looking at places, it was, it was East Wash, it was East Johnson, it was Willie Street, you know, like, and it just kind of ended up where this new development came up, and it was small enough, and it's a really small place, like 1,300 square feet. It's small enough to where it's not going to break us if it doesn't work out. But you know, this was kind of an experiment for us to kind of really stretch out a little bit more. Like I mentioned, you know, it's hard to get that distro. So if you can't really find our stuff, like you can always find it at the madhouse, and then it allows us to, you know, kind of showcase a lot of our barrel aged and you know, kind of fun beers on there. So
did you said, you kind of mentioned it was an experiment. Is like obviously the data got a little jacked up here in the last year.
Oh man.
Do you feel like it's been a success for I mean, and I don't, maybe this is too you know, too revealing or something, but
No.
like, first of all, I guess, do you feel like you can evaluate it at this point? And you know, are you excited to maybe do it again? You kind of hinted that as an experiment, maybe that's something that's repeated.
Yeah, so it was kind of neat because kind of coming out, like once everybody started getting vaccinated and stuff, and we were kind of watching the numbers between the, you know, our tap house, our, you know, home base, and then the madhouse, and there was times where the madhouse was beating us, and it was really great. It was exciting. I'm like, yes, just like keep beating us, like that's great, like that's what we're looking for. And it's slowed down a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of competition, and summertime, obviously people are out doing a lot of stuff. You know, it's been tough to evaluate it. You know, because I mean, you knew our GM, Chad Kersey, like he was just an amazing guy. And then he ended up going to Seattle right before the pandemic. And he just did a stand-up job. We've got Darby doing a great job there now. I can't quite evaluate it yet. Do I ever regret doing it? No. Was I nervous over the last year? Hell yeah. Because you know, again, like it was closed down, like Madison, of all the locations in the state, was like really locked down, and it made it tough for us. But we fully understood it, you know. But you know, a lot of people supported to-goes, and it's a little tougher to jump off of East Wash, grab it to go. You know, there's like a lot of good liquor stores that you can do that at, you know, in and out pretty quick. But I think the apartments upstairs helped a lot. We've got a lot of regular customers, and there's a lot of transplants, I think, like from the central Wisconsin area that now they live in Madison. We've got a unique product. It's Italian fries from a local place. They've got these Italian, it's not a cheese fry. It's like this really super garlicky thing. And people just come by droves to just grab those cheese fries even on top of the beer. So it's pretty cool. You know, we're figuring it out.
Nice. You mentioned brewing next week. Things are the switch is being flipped next week.
Yep. So we just fired our glycol system up today, and I'm working the air out of that as we speak. And our ag inspection's Monday, and if they give us the go, you know, grain will show up Monday. And we've kind of already talked with our brewer, and so I'm back on the brew deck, which is pretty awesome. There's so much brewing to be done that, you know, we've got one brewer, and you know, if you start talking 90 barrel batches, well, you got to do them in a certain amount of time. You know, the nice thing is that we're big enough, got a 30 barrel system, we can catch up really fast. Like,
okay.
I think within a couple of weeks, we can catch up. You know, we can fill the tanks, and then we can move on to the, you know, the really fun stuff that we like to do. So we'll get caught up with the flagship stuff, and then we'll get rocking and rolling again. So a lot of lab work to do between now and then, because, you know, when you unearth dirt and stuff, like I'm really nervous, you know. Luckily, we've got heat on our side. Our boiler, you know, so, you know, heats the, you know, CIP water, you know, very hot and stuff. So don't worry too much, but I got a little lab work to do before we can really know that we're going to produce a good beer. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You have a pilot system too? I mean, you're not ripping no?
Yeah, no. I wish we did. We had
batches of like you know, like weirdo. I mean, not weirdo, but you know what I mean. Like
we do some small. You know, we just essentially, you know, we came from home brewing. You know, I'll prove a concept really, but then you just kind of go for it. and a 30 barrel system. Yeah, it seems crazy. Yeah, I'd love to have. Well, you know, we never had room for a pilot system. You know.
Yeah.
So now we do.
But between the two tap rooms for a few, you know, a bunch of kegs and some 4-packs going out both doors.
Yeah, and it's that part's worked out well for us, right? There's 2 locations for draft craziness, you know, and I think with the special events that we're doing, like it's just people coming in and just drinking a lot of draft beer. So it's been good, and we do some distro into Pennsylvania, like 16-ounce cans. That helps deplete. We do some in Minnesota, 16-ounce cans. You know, they just take the crazy stuff. It's all on pre-orders.
Okay.
You know, it works good for us. You know, that 30 barrel batch has gone pretty quick. You know.
All right. Well, I feel like I could talk to you for a long time asking about Pennsylvania distribution and how that came about. But this is the Badger Beer Hour, not the Badger Beer Hour and a Half, which we have to remind ourselves of very often. So, Marc, thank you for coming on again at the last minute and in the midst of all this craziness. I guess I'm glad I could take you away from that for a little bit.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. I appreciate you thinking of us. And when I got that, well, you emailed me at like 9 this morning. I didn't get back to you until like 1, and I'm like, well, if there's still, because I was so busy, and then I was like, there's still a slot if you haven't filled it. You know, with somebody, like, I'd love to do it.
We were preparing to stretch out that ample news section even more.
Yeah,
with some a lot of discussion about blah blah blah. So I'm glad we didn't have to blah blah blah.
Well, I would just say if you know, like, you know, Central Wisconsin is an awesome beer destination, and so if you're traveling I-39, you get right off on exit 153, and you see the water tower that's filled with beer. That's O'so, and we're right there. Just Google us, you'll find us. So.
Oh, look at there.
There you go.
National reach of Badger Beer Hour.
Yeah, awesome. We'd love to be in New York. 16-ounce craziness.
Nice. All right, Marc, thanks, and best of luck next week with keeping those gremlins subdued.
I'll keep you posted on how it goes.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Hey everyone, back out on the road again, and this time we're in Altoona, Wisconsin, and I know for those of you that can read a map, you probably figured that this isn't too far away from where I am. Yes, it indeed is like the little sister of Eau Claire, but what a place to be, if I'm going to be out on the road for one of the first times in what seems like an eternity. So I'm at Ombibulous Brewing Company, say that 5 times fast. It is a family-run place here on the outskirts of Altoona, and they do great beer, and it's a great little place inside. So let's go inside, have a beer, and meet the people.
Well, my name's Jared. I'm the owner and brewer and accountant and mechanic and whatever else I have to do here at Ombibulous Brewing Company. Altoona chose me. So, I mean, we really weren't picky at the time. I mean, I kind of went through everything. I got, business plan together, and I said, this is what we want to do. This is the size of brewery. Now let's go see what we can find for a location. And that was hard. That was probably the hardest thing. The rest of it was pretty easy. Finding a location was our toughest thing. Finding something that fits your needs. That will it fit a brewery in there? Does it have cement floors, or will it hold the equipment? And is it big enough? Does it have the power that you need? Is it in an area that they're going to let you do it? Is it zoned right? I mean, there's just so many factors that you have to figure in when you're looking for a building. So really, we were just looking for whatever we could find, and this was it. Yeah, it's just myself, my wife, and my daughter. Sierra's the one that most people, if they come here, they'll see behind the bar. So she kind of represents us most of the time from that standpoint. My son works here too, but he works, kind of behind the scenes, and he doesn't like people as much. So, he's young yet. So I don't have. For me, it's not about getting into a real particular style. I make what I like, and I like lots of different things, and I like to make things that other people are going to like too. So for me, if I can get more people in the door that can enjoy several things on my menu, that's what I want to do. So we're open, what is it, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Events, we try to do whatever we can. Food trucks out here, we try to get some music. I think we've got music scheduled at least once every month through the summer right now, and we're just starting to kind of book into the fall and winter. If you go to our Facebook page, we do have an events area there that that anybody can look and they can see what we have scheduled as far as music and things like that. And we're just, now that things are starting to open up a little bit more, we're trying to get more things kind of happening here as things develop. So, yeah.
Beer spotlight, you guys. We gotta. Well, I don't know. Can we call it a beer spotlight if it is a non-alcoholic beer? Does it have to be like a near beer spotlight? I don't know. Anybody got me on that?
No,
beer spotlight.
You're good.
All right. Okay. Because we are checking out. Nope, other way. Riverwest Stein NA. This is a new beer from Lakefront Brewery, and it is a non-alcoholic take on their oldest beer. I'm not sure if it's their oldest beer, but it is their oldest existing beer, and it is their unquestioned flagship. This beer has been around since 1987. That's before Barry Alvarez was kicking Michigan butts at UW or whatever. I don't know. This is a pretty big swing. I mean, we've had some other non-alcoholic beers come out of Wisconsin. Notably, Untitled Art has rolled out a line of NA beers. Among their many and diverse products, like seltzers and smoothie seltzers and all kinds of stuff. Obviously, there's some really interesting beers, but they've had some non-alcoholic craft brands. I think they've got a fruited sour, like Flora of Ice, a Goza, and chocolate stout, and a juicy IPA. I think are the four that they have. And I mention that because this beer, if you look real closely at the label, I'm not going to show it. Well, maybe you can see it. God, that's hard. Can you see it? Brewed in, oh boy. I don't know. Trust me. It says brewed by Lakefront Brewery in Waunakee, Wisconsin there. And we know that Lakefront is in Milwaukee, and Waunakee is not in Milwaukee. And Octopi Brewing, which makes Untitled Art, is also in Waunakee. And yes, this NA beer. Lakefront turned to Octopi because this is a brand new brewery not brand new, but very new brewery that has really invested in a lot of technology to make all these different products. They're a contract brewer for tons of different brands, some of which they'll talk about, some of which they won't. And they are, they're doing all kinds of stuff with seltzer and fruit. One of the things that they're doing is de-alcoholizing beer. So the way that at least this NA beer is made is this is an exact clone of the recipe for Riverwest Stein. This Riverwest Stein, the one that I've been drinking. Gosh, that's going to kill me every time. There it is. Okay. So same malt bill, same hop bill, same yeast. It is actually fermented. It is fermented to the 5.6% that standard Riverwest is. And then it goes through a de-alcoholization process that is, I think it's some kind of distilling. My contact at Lakefront wasn't quite sure exactly how it works. But usually that's some kind of combination of like heat and pressure. Heat, especially not great for beer. But I'm guessing that this is like a higher tech thing that doesn't disrupt the beer as much. One thing you'll notice here, this is the sniff. God, the snifter is the Riverwest, and the tall glass is the NA version. You can see the color is not quite there, so that's one difference. And I detect there's clear differences. Like I was going back and forth tasting these, and obviously you start with the NA version because that's the new part, and it's like it's one thing, and then you switch over, and the alcohol, like it's a 5.6% beer lager. Like I've never thought of Riverwest as being like a big punchy in the face beer. If you have 3 sips of this NA beer and then go and have a sip of the same thing, it is an alcohol bomb. It's amazing how much that ingredient plays into, the not just the flavor and a little bit of the aroma, but even even the mouthfeel it feels a lot fuller. And I don't really know enough about like tasting. I'm not Randy Mosher here, but it's so clear. I mean, we know it's an ingredient, just like carbonation is, and all that stuff plays into how it tastes, how it smells, how it feels in your mouth. It is a much bigger effect than I guess I was expecting. That said, like once you kind of like say, okay, this is not exactly Riverwest, which I mean, like this branding. I mean, it's the same label with just the NA. It says non-alcoholic. I mean, they are really leaning into this as this is Riverwest Stein, and that's okay. And it's not, and that I think that's okay too, because here's the deal. Like I'm thinking about who wants this beer, this near beer, and I think about the guy who had to quit drinking 20 years ago, and this was his favorite beer, and that's a loss, but it's for his health or whatever, or her health. And I think like the value of this to that person is very high. I mean, this could be huge for that. So, and I think there's also like health conscious people who just don't want to get bombed, or I don't know. I don't see this like mixing in to like, oh, I'm going to have a night and I'm going to have 3 beers and this will be one of them. I'm not really sure that that's going to be a thing, but I think it's really interesting. And I will say the flavor profile is close to Riverwest in without that. I mean, the alcohol piece is missing, and I guess I wasn't expecting that to be as big of a deal as it is. But I feel like there's it's significantly thinner to me. And I guess I should also caveat that this is I believe this is probably the first batch made at Octopi. It's a different brewery from a beer that we've been used to being brewed at Lakefront for, literally like decades. So, it's possible that this is not the de-alcoholization factor playing in here, but the just, matching process and syncing up those 2 breweries. So I expect that it could come closer together. But for now, certainly thinner. And there's a little bit more like kind of, there's a, Riverwest has got a really nice kind of earthy floral hop zip on it. It's very well balanced, but you've got your kind of caramel ambery malts on the one side, and then these little kind of, earthy floral hop character on the other. And I'm not sure, maybe it's because of the body being a little thinner. That hop character plays a lot more noticeably, I think, on the finish. I wouldn't call it's not a bitter beer, but it's a little zestier on the finish. I think overall the flavor profile is very similar. I mean, obviously you're putting the same things in, so that kind of computes. But there's not like if you just drank this beer and said, hey, this is Riverwest, I don't know if like people are gonna be like, yeah, it is. And I unless they have them side by side, and I think that's a different thing. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts about this one? Because I feel like I can talk about this one for a long time, and I kind of maybe I need some focus on it.
I know that NA beers that I've had in the past, I would say the same thing that I would normally say about a gluten-free beer. It's lacking something, and not that it's a bad beer. It's made well, and I'm sure that. And I don't have what you have in front of you, but I'm certain that it is a full-bodied beer, and it's good. But for those of us that still drink alcohol, it's certainly missing something.
Mm-hmm.
Just like gluten-free beer. If you're gluten-free, and that's what you have to drink, you're going to enjoy that. but for those of us that can still enjoy gluten, it's something that is still, there's still something missing for those of us that can have it. And it's not, I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm not saying that it's bad. I think it's great for those that can't or shouldn't drink alcohol. It's for those that actually enjoy the taste of a beer. It's fantastic. There are NA breweries popping up as we speak, so it's becoming its own thing.
Yeah,
and I think it's great that Lakefront took one of their staple beers and made it NA.
Yeah, I Lakefront, to me, like I like Lakefront for a lot of reasons, but one of the things this kind of like amplifies that way I've felt about this feeling is like they really do try to make something for everybody, literally everybody, know, because they've got the gluten-free line. I mean, New Grist was that was it
was ahead of its time,
way
oh,
like a decade ahead.
Absolutely.
And, organic beer, they're big on organics. And even within like their regular beer, they have light lager. They've got, Riverwest, the classic. They've got some other great old school styles. And then, more contemporary stuff like Hazy Rabbit. And that's not even getting into the whole, like, the My Turn series where they're letting employees play with ingredients that, wouldn't necessarily fit under the, well, I don't know. I mean, I was going to say like that, like a brewery that makes Riverwest and Eastside Dark and Pills, and like a brewery that makes only those things is not going to make a rum barrel aged coffee, what was the vanilla porter?
Or the
My Turn beer that they released last winter. Like that would be crazy, but because it's this kind of umbrella of, hey, we let our employees make whatever they want to make, and sometimes it's a great Vienna lager like they had last fall. Sometimes it's I think their next one is a fruit ale with a bunch of raspberries and blueberries and stuff. Like, all these things that because of the device, which is great. I mean, talk about a great thing for employees. Like you're just letting them make whatever they want. That's so cool. I mean, within, I'm sure that they are vetting it for like, let's not make like a weird BrewDog beer or something. But so anyway, so all of this makes sense. They got great barrel aging program.
I mean, if you talk to
literally something for everybody, and
if you talk to Russ for 10 minutes, it doesn't seem foreign for something that he was. But not everybody gets to talk to Russ for 10 minutes. So, and he's a fantastic guy. And we've had him on this program. We've interviewed him from Taproom Travelers and stuff like that. But. If you ever get to sit down with Russ, and sometimes he does get to sit, in the tap room, you'll sit down with random people, and so if you're one of those lucky people to sit down with him, ask him all of the questions in the world, because the man is an open book, and he's way ahead of everything.
Check out crazy. When was he on? November for Black Friday, I think it was.
Yes.
No, you got a better memory than I do.
Check out our November Badger Beer Hour if you need to know what he looks like. Tall, skinny guy with gray hair.
Yeah.
Yes. My comments are, number one, I think it's really interesting that they're farming this beer out so that they could make sure that the quality is up there. Sometimes I think switching from organic to gluten-free to very hoppy can put a lot of stress on whatever brewing system that you're messing with, and trying to, even as someone who scrubbed down fermenters, man, like I could just see, like, going from a hobby beer to this and just a different thing. So I kudos for that. And also NA beers, I found out through the group. I don't know if you guys have been in there lately, but there's been a lot of talk. We have Matt Strain, who is a ambassador for Athletic Brewing.
Yeah.
And nobody knew he was, and then it kind of like got this big tiff. But through all of this, I have learned that a lot of beer drinkers are really looking for these NA beers, and a lot of them say they just want to taste the beer in the afternoon, but they're not trying to even like have, even like a lawnmower beer. They just prefer to have that taste of beer even after lawn mowing, and then later in the at night, as long as it tastes pretty good, they're not looking for that that authentic beer taste. They're looking for something that comes close, that can just get them by. And I think that's the same thing with people who are either alcoholics or tend to choose to try to like tamp down their there's a debate on whether it's healthy or not, but yeah, so those are my two takes on.
I think one of the things that this beer has made me think about is why I drink beer. Like, I mean, are you in it for the alcohol is an essential component of most beers. Well, if you don't want that, if you think that's bad, here you go. Or even like there's some like table beers that are like I had an English mild that was like 3.5% or something. I mean it's not nothing, but it's almost it's like functionally the way the body processes alcohol, it is almost nothing. I had one of those at the fermentorium last week, and why is it that we pick like a double IPA over an IPA or an imperial stout over a regular stout? Like, I think it starts to like question, and I think some people are like, well, yeah, it's because I want to get housed, right? Like, I want to feel buzzed or get drunk or whatever. But I mean, I don't. That's not really why I drink. At least I don't think it is.
Not me.
But
Not me. Yeah.
but maybe it is, because I don't think I'm going to drink a lot of this. I mean, I finished every glass that I had. I reviewed this for my column, dropping on Saturday. Check it out. But like, it's not like I finished this. Like, okay, like I've got what I need, and then dumped it out. It was I drank it.
Yeah.
So. But I thought about, like, am I going to be buying this on the regular? I'm like, I don't think so. So what is that? Why not? I don't know.
And we'll ponder that for next month.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
So before we go, I would just like to remind people that you can call or text the Badger Beer Hour at 608-579-3050. You can also email us at badgerbeerhour@gmail.com. And you can also find us on IG and Instagram at badgerbeerhour.com. And we will see you ladies and men in July. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Cheers.